Beautiful people, and welcome back to another live stream right here on Cassius Moore's official, the most hated, most debated, most incriminated live streamer in the world of rock and metal. It's a beautiful thing, but I feel like we all accept that people wouldn't know what to do without me, guys. It just wouldn't feel the same without me. And it's great to be of service here in the world of rock and metal. Lots to talk about this evening. As you guys can see from the title of this live stream, Paul Stanley has decided to strike back at the criticism of his son and Gene Simmons' son, who have started the new, I guess we could call it like a super group, a rock and roll super group to a degree, Stanley and Simmons. We're going to break down what Paul actually said in defense of his son and Gene's son. We're going to break down some of the public reaction to the group. And also, I'm going to listen to some of their music because I actually have not listened to any music from Stanley Simmons up until this point. So this is going to be a fresh reaction from me, guys. Again, this is totally new to me. I have been aware of the group kind of peripherally, and I've been keeping an eye on it. I have fired off an interview request to Evan. I'm not sure if he's received it yet, but I would still love to have him on the show. But we're going to break it all down here on the stream, and it's always great to be back with some new topics. I feel like the Rush Limbaugh of rock and metal, guys. I put up a live stream yesterday. I've been fighting off grown men in my comments, having hissy fits, and just completely melting down over a young man in a hotel room sharing his opinion. I must have some pretty strong delivery. My opinions must be quite interesting because it has been enough to send people into a full-blown meltdown over the last 24 hours. But I guess that's what happens when you have a strong positioning. So let's take a look at what happened on X over the last day or two. So for anybody who missed what happened, Paul Stanley has been posting a lot of stuff on his X account in support of Stanley Simmons. Understandably so. Of course, this is his son, Evan Stanley, and Gene Simmons' son, Nick Simmons, who have come together to form their own band. Paul Stanley's been sharing the links and retweeting and, again, doing what's called for a supportive father and just showing love to his son and really supporting what he's doing all across social media. And this comment here seems to have gotten under Paul's skin at a high level. So this comment here came from some random X user. I'm not even going to, shout out their username. But Paul put up a link to an interview, I guess, that was happening with his son. He shared the link showing praise, and this comment here said, "Fuck your kid's band. They haven't paid their dues. Who do you think you are?" Now, Paul Stanley fired back rather quickly to this comment on X, and the following statement is what was posted by Paul. He said, quote, "You clearly don't want to accept that your own lack of talent is the reason you continue to fail at everything. If your father was famous, you would still get nowhere because you are too busy looking enviously at others instead of looking at yourself and realizing the obvious." Paul, holy shit, Paul going savage mode on X today. And by the way, can I just show some love to Gene and Paul? Because I feel like the past couple of months, or even past couple of weeks especially, they've not been messing around, man. They have been handling people on X, sending their hate comments. They've been putting people in their place left and right. Gene and Paul, post-Kiss retirement, are not here to mess around. I feel like they're done with the hate comments. They're done with people tweeting at them, talking out of pocket. They're done with people playing with their name. And I kind of like this energy from Gene and Paul. I can't lie to you guys. It's kind of cool to see them just firing back and not taking any shit. Because frankly, why should you take shit from people on the internet when you've been running the game for 50 years? I love how the guy says, "Who do you think you are?" I'm sorry, sir. Paul Stanley thinks he's Paul Stanley of Kiss. Things hit a little different when you are who you think you are. And if you're going to ask somebody who they think they are, I wouldn't do it to a certified legend in any space. I mean, Paul Stanley has earned the right to say whatever he wants. And I feel like especially when he's talking about music, yeah, he's earned the right. So probably not a good comment here from the fan. But a lot of people have shared this same sentiment across social media, kind of wondering if this group is legitimate and throwing them in the category of sort of the Nepo babies. That is really what people have sort of put on the name of Stanley Simmons, which, to me, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. So my 2 cents on this is I feel like it's unavoidable for the sons of Gene and Paul to have this criticism because of who their parents are. It's something that you're going to walk into, and it's just going to happen because of the family name. On top of that, they're using the family name as the band name. I don't fault them for doing that, but it does sort of make sense that some people would kind of swoop in and put the Nepo baby label on this group. So I'm not going to say it's called for, but it's something that's going to happen. That being said, I don't know if it's necessarily warranted in this case because from what I've seen, especially Evan Stanley, I mean, he is an incredibly skilled and talented musician. The one thing that having a famous parent can't do is actually give you talent. You can have the most famous father in the world. We've seen a lot of kids of famous people who don't have very good musical output. Maybe they become actors, their parents are actors, they're not that great. And while a lot of them are propelled to success by their family names, it doesn't inherently mean that you're going to be successful. But furthermore, it doesn't mean that you're going to be good at what you do. I think a lot of these kids can get famous because of mommy or daddy, and maybe they're not that great. That does happen. But in this case, I don't think it sticks because these kids are actually talented. I call them kids, they're older than me. These guys are actually talented. So, I can imagine it's frustrating for a guy like Paul when you have a son who's really musically inclined. Also, Evan didn't pick up the guitar yesterday. I mean, this kid has been playing guitar for a very long time. But, it's something that when you're in this scenario, this label is going to be put on you. And I feel like it's going to be put on you no matter what the output really is. You could be the greatest guitar player on earth, and it could have nothing to do with your father, and you're still going to get this label. So yeah, it kind of makes sense, but I don't think it's necessary to throw this label on these guys. I also feel like the fact that they're teaming up as the 2 sons of these guys is also what's kind of making this worse. If it wasn't Stanley Simmons, let's say if it was just Evan Stanley coming out and making his own music, I think that would probably draw a lot less criticism than the Stanley Simmons label. But I think that it sort of becomes a conundrum because not only are they are technically Nepo babies by definition. And I'm not saying it to take away from them, but they technically are. So I think that the fact that it's not just one of them, it's 2 of them coming together, that's what lends to this criticism. But from my personal opinion, I don't believe it's warranted because these dudes are actually talented. I mean, let me know what you guys think. We're going to listen to some of their music here in just a moment. But do you guys agree that it is something that is kind of unavoidable? The 2 famous sons of these guys coming together, it's going to draw some speculation as to how much they've earned themselves. But I feel like it's sort of an unfair criticism. And I have to say, guys, a lot of people, I think from the outside looking in, have the perspective of like, man, I wish I could be the son of a famous guy because then my career would be a cakewalk. I wish my dad was, Paul Stanley if I was a rock musician because then he could propel me to success. I think a lot of people have that idea that it's somehow easier for these guys. I would actually counter that argument and say I think it's arguably more challenging for these guys because they have this label. If Evan Stanley was an unknown guitar player who didn't have a famous father, and he was releasing the exact same music as he's releasing now, I think he would be getting nothing but praise. Because when you watch this guy do guitar solos, when you watch this guy come out and shred, He's really good. There's no debate as to the musical talent of this guy. Now, I don't want to downplay Nick. I think Nick is talented as well. And we're going to listen to the actual music. I haven't listened to the Stanley Simmons music in its entirety, to be fair. But I've seen the clips of Evan shredding on stage in different scenarios. If this was just a guy who had nothing to do with Paul Stanley, and he was coming out, emerging on the scene as a young rock and roll player, coming out and doing his thing, I think he would be getting nothing but praise. What's making it hard for him to maybe get the praise he deserves is the name of his father. So people put this label on them like they somehow have it easier. I actually don't think they do have it easier. I think they have it a lot harder. And I've interviewed a lot of these guys. I've interviewed the sons of famous guitar players and really, really famous musicians who have the passion for making music. And what they've expressed to me is the same thing. I mean, not trying to throw anybody under the bus here, but it was public, so I don't think I am. I've interviewed Trev Lukather, the son of Steve Lukather, of course, of Toto, and, Michael Jackson Beat It. I mean, the dude, one of the most legendary players ever. And we talked about this, and Trev told me, look, it's unavoidable for me to be compared to my father, and it's something I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life because it's almost like a curse. When you're born to a famous person and you want to go out and do your own thing in that field, it just looks too coincidental. It just looks, it's too much of a happy accident when you're really good at playing guitar and your father is also a legendary guitar player. But if anybody envies that, I think you're coming from the wrong place because I do think it's more of a negative thing for these guys than a positive. Now, on the other hand, there are positive aspects to it. They have access potentially to many more people or more opportunities through their parents. They have, the ability to call up famous players. It's going to be a lot easier for these guys to get in front of record labels. It's going to be a lot easier for these guys to get on tour. I believe Evan actually opened up for Kiss at some point as well on the road. So, okay, you might have a point in that regard. I think that if, Evan may not have been opening for Kiss if he wasn't Paul's son. That could be an argument I may entertain, but not because he doesn't have the talent. I think it just might be easier to stumble into certain scenarios when you are the son of a powerful person in this business. So I'll give him that. I'll give the critics that. But I'm going to be with Paul on this one. I think it's not really fair to be calling people out like this. And I do think, too, it kind of says something about the person who's saying it, the person who's drawing the criticism, when you're just trying to tear a young guy down. These are two young dudes who are out here making music. They're putting their best foot forward. And it's not like they're coming in making slop. These guys are making actual good stuff from what I can tell, and we're about to listen in a moment. But, they're making good stuff. They're not making AI music. They're not coming out doing auto-tune, and not to take away from anybody who does auto-tune, but they're not coming out and making sloppy music. They're putting the work in. They're putting the time in. So I think, I think that there's a lot more there than just being Paul Stanley's son. That's ultimately what I would say. Let me see what the chat is saying here. There's a couple people going back and forth in the chat. Okay, well, you guys can fight it out. I'm just going to keep doing the show. So let's take a listen. Let's take a listen to some of the new music. I think maybe we can be the judge as to what the level of talent is here. And I'm very curious to hear what they have. By the way, I was kind of surprised to see that this was happening because it was always said that Evan and Nick should team up and potentially be the new guys in Kiss. It was always this kind of a fantasy idea that Kiss was going to be continued on by the two sons. They should step in and do the makeup. I think this is a lot better than that by a long shot. If they were coming out as the new Kiss and Nick was dressed up as the demon and Evan was dressed up as the Star Child, that might be a little bit too far. At that point, I don't know how much credit I could give if you're literally being propped up into your dad's shoes, literally your dad's platform shoes, then I might have a little bit more speculation about whether or not this was really earned. I will say that. But to their credit, they are not stepping into the shoes of Kiss. They're not trying to be their parents. They're not trying to stand in their parents' shadows. And they're actually doing something different. They're doing different styles of music that's nothing to do with Kiss. So a really tricky scenario. You're going to get the criticism, for sure. You're going to get called a Nepo baby, for sure. And people are always going to have this concept that it's your father who propelled you to success. But to their credit, they're not doing Kiss 2.0. They're not trying to be Gene Jr. and Paul Jr. to the extent that they can control it. Because ultimately they are Gene and Paul Jr., whether they want to be or not. But not stepping into that same frame, I think, is good for them. If they were coming out trying to make the same type of music as Kiss, or dressing up in the makeup as Kiss, or even being in Kiss, that's a very different conversation than two guys who love music. And by the way, do we expect these guys not to love rock and roll music? You know, I think it makes sense. And I think the same thing with Trev Lukather, too, like when I spoke with him. Speaking with him and hearing his story, when you grow up immersed in rock and roll, when some of your earliest memories are you on the road and backstage at concerts and watching people tune up guitars and watching the reaction of the crowd and listening to rock and roll music, do we expect these guys to grow up not loving it? I mean, what do we exactly expect from these two guys? It would be a lot more confusing if they didn't love rock music. You know, I think it's very much called for. So let's take a listen to some of their stuff, guys. And again, this is the first time I've listened to them. Why don't we start with their first big single? We'll listen to a little bit of that, and then we'll listen to their new song, which just dropped yesterday. This is so the one that dropped yesterday, I think, is the one that was drawing the criticism because it's their newest work. We're going to play the first hit, and then we're going to play the new single, and then I'm going to read some of you guys' comments. I want you guys to let me know what you thought about all of this music that's coming out. So let me know. We're going to play it live now, and let's go ahead and play. This first song is called Body Down, the official first reaction right here on Cassius Morris Official. Let's go. on a second. Hang on a second, guys. Is this what we're criticizing? Yeah, this is jealousy. This is pure jealousy. Why are we criticizing this? And this is when I'm going to actually get pissed off. This is the shit that drives me absolutely crazy, because if you guys haven't noticed, rock and roll fans, like when you read the comments of rock fans, they're absolutely insufferable in so many cases. I feel like my channel is an exception because I have wonderful viewers. Like the comment section in my interviews and stuff is overwhelmingly positive, and you don't get this negativity, at least on my channel, most of the time that these rock fans have, of just these insufferable fucking comments where it's always a complaint. I mean, I think my streams get a lot of these insufferable comments, but generally speaking, I have really wonderful people who watch and comment on my stuff. That being said, a lot of the other rock and roll comments that I read on Reddit or on X are just insufferable, and this is the exact type of thing I'm talking about. The one thing that drives me nuts is rock fans will constantly complain about everything, but one of their main complaints is that rock and roll is not at the forefront like it used to be. They'll say things like, I want to see rock and roll on the Grammys. Why is rock not represented on award shows? Why is rock and roll not on the top 10 charts? We see these types of comments incessantly from rock fans, sort of wishing that rock was back to where it was and more so relevant at the forefront again. But the thing that's really confusing to me is every time we see some young guys who step up to the plate and they say, okay, your concerns are being heard. You guys want new rock music of quality. You want young people pushing the envelope for this genre. You want new things to represent this type of music. Anytime somebody steps up to the plate, whether it's Nick and Evan, or whether it's Youngblood, or whether it's Greta Van Fleet, any of these bands who say, okay, you know what? We're young guys. We're not going to try to make auto-tune rap music or country music to get on the charts. We're going to step up to the plate and give you guys what you've been complaining that you want, which is new rock music, new rock icons, making stuff that is relevant today. Anytime a young guy steps up and tries to do it, people do nothing but tear them down. And this is what drives me crazy about a lot of rock fans on the internet, and not my fans, but the people, the random people out there that I see, because it's never good enough for you guys. This is music, even listening to the first couple of minutes, this is music of quality. This is good music. Nice arrangement. The melody is strong. The voices are really good together. Their voices sound quite nice. And it is reminiscent. I saw a comment in my chat saying Alice in Chains. It is reminiscent of music of quality that we've heard in the past. Why is it that anytime somebody steps up to the plate and they say, okay, you know what? I'll give you what you want. We're going to make some new rock music. Let's make it cool again. Let's make it young again. Let's put it on the charts again. You guys do nothing but tear these people down. Why do people do this? This is the music that we're tearing down. And ultimately, I always come back to the same point. If rock fans continue doing this, you're just going to be in the same rut that you're trying to dig yourself out of. Because on one hand, you say you want representation. You say you want new music from young people to push rock forward, and you question why it's not happening. But the second somebody steps up to the plate, you do nothing but bitch and moan about it. You can't have it both ways. Either you want people to come out and do the thing, or you don't. That is the option. So this is confusing to me. People say they want new stuff. They get new stuff. It's actually good. And people do nothing but bitch. And I think a lot of rock fans have too much fucking time on their hands, man, because they sit on the internet and they bitch incessantly about every little thing. I see it in some comments. I still think I'm very lucky. Like, I look at my comment section and it's so positive. People appreciate, the fact that I'm trying to push it forward. I'm trying to champion these older acts. I just wish that the new guys who are making music could get the same reaction. Why are we not supporting these guys? Why are we not propping these guys up? It's a deal breaker for you because their dads are in Kiss? That's so lame, man. Get off their nuts, dude. These guys are trying to make something happen. What are we doing? We're discouraging the same people who ultimately we want to change the game. Let's take a look at this new single that just came out yesterday. I'm interested to hear this now. So this is the new one that just dropped. Let's take a listen. I like that last one.
Oh, where have we gone to? The shadows and the glow on the side of every road for right. There's a wrong too. On and on and on. I take it as it comes, but I know I'm not the one. But we're still not done with us. 'Cause temporary love is still love. It's still love, my darling. As below, so above, there's still sun when the dusk is falling. So I'm crawling back to you.
Interesting.
I pray like a
Kind of a
mantis
Beatles-esque influence.
for the clock to slow while you gather up your clothes. Won't say what the plan is when you're coming home. Impossible to know, but you won't be so long. We're still not done with us. 'Cause temporary love is still love. It's still love, my
this is good.
darling. As below, so above, there's still sun
I'm
when
gonna have a fucking seizure off this video, though.
the dusk is falling.
I'm about to have a strobe attack.
So I'm crawling back to you.
Jesus. Ah. It's hard on my eyes. Okay, so the video wasn't that good, but the song is good. I think, you know, like, I don't love the video, but at least you can tell that they put effort into it. That's the one thing that I sort of get the vibe from these guys, that they're putting the work in. And you can tell they didn't write this in 2 minutes. You know, that's the one thing I really like about what I'm seeing here. You can tell that this is hard work. You can tell that these are two guys who really like music. They know music. There's a lot of influences from a lot of different bands. And again, the influences are of bands of quality. This is a callback to this late 60s, early 70s era. And even some 90s mixed into it, which is really cool. You get sort of the grungy, like when the grunge bands would do slower stuff, like I think Alice in Chains is a great example. You get some of that slow, grungy vibe. But this really gave me Abbey Road type of vibes. And again, I'm not saying it's that good. What I'm saying is you can clearly tell these guys love a song like Because by the Beatles. You can tell they do love Crosby, Stills, and Nash, Young. You know, you can tell that they listen to this stuff. You can tell that this had an imprint on them. Which to me is really cool because, again, it's not Kiss Light. The last thing I want to hear from the son of Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley is Kiss Light. I don't want to hear Cold Gin 2.0. I don't want to hear a new rendition of Firehouse. That would be lame to me. And then I would have probably some criticism on that. I'm going to say my reaction is overwhelmingly positive. I like it a lot. It's like a mishmash of different good music. And people are going to keep trying to take it away from them. And again, like I explained off the top, I understand some people's perspective. Like it's really hard not to feel like their parents are behind this. It is. It's on surface level. It's hard not to think that. But I think the criticism is unwarranted. I think these guys are doing great. They have a diversity to their music, which is really cool. Evan is a great shredder, but he's also a good acoustic player and a good singer. Paul himself has said that Evan may be a better guitar player than him, which I tend to agree with, to be frank with you. I mean, when you watch, let's try to pull up an Evan Stanley solo. Evan Stanley guitar solo. Very impressive. Let me see. Paul Stanley's son, guitar solo. Let's see if we can find that. Yeah, this is the one that I saw. This guy can agree he plays better than Paul, right? With all due respect, look, Paul said it first, guys. Paul said it first. I'm not here to be disrespectful, but as a lead guitar shredder, he's better than his dad, isn't he? I mean, I don't know. He might be better than his dad. I'm just saying. And I have no dog in this fight. I don't even know these guys. This is my first listen, but I like it. And to all the older dudes who are watching this, please, from someone from a different generation, I would like to extend this message to you. Get off the young dudes' dicks and stop criticizing the young people in this space. Because this is our thing now. We're the future of this music, okay? This is us. It's not you guys who are going to carry this forward. It's us. In 20 years, we're going to be the ones. It's our task now. So maybe we have a different perspective on certain things. Maybe we don't see things the exact same way as you. But it's time to make way, get out of the way, and let the new guys step forward, because this is our shit now. This is our space now. And hopefully you can enjoy it, but this is our thing. I'm the captain now. Okay, this is us. Because 20 years from now, we're going to be the ones, well, not me, they're going to be the ones touring. Whether it's Greta Van Fleet, Youngblood, Evan Stanley, all these dudes that people love to bitch and moan about, because there's a lot of bitching and moaning going on. A lot of bitching and moaning going on. All these dudes want to do is make music that you might like. All these kids want to do is create something that you put it on and say, hey, that was pretty good. Why are we discouraging that? Why are we downplaying that? Why are we, I don't get it. And if you want to keep doing that, well, you're going to be listening to a lot more rap music. You're going to be listening to a lot more pop music. If you want Sabrina Carpenter and Taylor Swift to run the game, keep up your bitching. Because you're going to discourage people. All these guys want to do is make a song that you put it on and you say, hey, that's pretty good. Why are we tearing that down in a world that is so negative? In a world with so much bad stuff going on? It's like people are more supportive of like divisive politicians and negative influencers and people making slop, it's like they get more support than the people trying to do something cool. Meta in the chat, you see what I'm saying? Why are we tearing these people down? Let's prop these people up, guys. Because I want rock music to listen to 20 years from now that's not just by Kiss. And I love Kiss, but why does it have to end there? Is it going to end with Kiss and end with Ozzy Osbourne and end with AC/DC and we just listen to that forever? I mean, 50 years from now, I want to be listening to new albums that I can call classic. I would love in, 20, 30 years from now to be saying, oh man, when this guy dropped, Evan Stanley dropped the album, it was classic, whatever. I don't care who it is. I want new people to carry this forward. So that's ultimately what I would say, guys. I'm on Team Evan and Nick, okay? Evan and Nick, you have the full Cassius Morris endorsement. I'm on your side. I will be a champion for you guys in your careers. And I hope to see you guys reach a lot of success. And I would say, just ignore the bullshit. Ignore the bullshit. And guess what? These people are just mad. They're just big mad. All the people who sit on the internet and complain are just big mad. A lot of people mad with them. A lot of people mad with me. We're still winning, though. That's the thing. People want to downplay everything. People want to downplay everything. I see all these stupid comments every day. I just laugh. The new one lately for me is you should get a job. That's the new one. That's the new one for me, which is which is fucking funny because the hours of work that I put in on my multiple jobs, I guarantee I work harder than you. Okay? Last time I checked, you're not working from 10 in the morning till 6 in the morning. I am. Last time I checked, you don't have 3 different job titles. I do. Last time I checked, you're not making cool new rock music. Evan and Nick are. So whatever you guys want to say, all the bullshit, all the criticism, it amounts to nothing. We're still winning. All of us young guys that you guys take issue with are still winning. I literally pulled a shift yesterday until 6:30 in the morning and got up at 8:30 in the morning after 2 hours of sleep to interview Bob Daisley, one of the most influential metal songwriters of all time. And I woke up after 2 hours of sleep in a 14-hour shift to people telling me I should get a job. Do you know how stupid you guys sound? Do you guys know how fucking stupid you sound when you say things like this? It makes you look bad. It doesn't make me look bad. It really doesn't. It makes you look bad. It makes you look envious. And it makes you look out of touch with what's actually happening. So that's what I would say. I like it. I'm on their side. Shout out to the boys, man. And shout out to all the gatekeepers and all the people trying to hold the young dudes back, man. All I can tell you is this. I'm the captain now. We're the captains now. So settle in, grab yourself a cocktail, kick back, and enjoy the show. Because we are just, listen, what would Paul Stanley say? We are just getting started, motherfuckers. We are just getting started. I feel like Kiss Alive. I was talking to somebody backstage before, and they told me you guys like vodka and orange juice. They told me you guys like vodka and orange juice. This is our shit now. So shout out to you guys, man. Let me know what you guys thought down below in the comments. I'm having a lot of fun. And yeah, this was I'm just gonna do one story today. We're not gonna force it. There's not a whole lot of stories going on, but I did want to hop on and cover this. So Bob Daisley interview dropping soon. I literally spent my morning with 90 minutes speaking with one of the most influential songwriters of metal history, talking about Randy Rhoads, writing Crazy Train, writing Mr. Crowley, Blizzard of Oz. Today's interview was amazing. I might just go ahead and drop the interview with Joe Lynn Turner this evening. I got hits and I haven't even put them out. You understand me? I got hits on hits, greatest hits. We haven't even put them out yet, Jack. So to anybody trying to discourage me or test how much I really want this or throw negativity at me to see if it's going to stick, you're not going to like the result, because let me tell you guys something. I am fueled by this. I am fueled by doubt. I am fueled by negativity. The more you feed me, it's like stoking a fire. Feed it to me. That is what I run on. Everything I've ever done in my life, people have told me I would never do. Everything. So I am running off, I haven't even eaten today, okay? I'm on an empty stomach and a coffee, fueled off pure rage and determination to make these people look fucking dumb for doubting me. So keep doubting me. I love every moment of it. And you're not going to like it when you watch me persevere, but I'm going to love every fucking second of it. It's even sweeter when they tell you you could never do it. It tastes even sweeter when they doubt you. It's a beautiful thing. I love you guys. Shout out Meta. Shout out everybody who's tuning in, not tuning in. I got love for everybody. God bless each and every one of you.